Welcome to the Preach Voice podcast, where we share stories of mental, physical, and sexual abuse within the independent fundamental Baptist movement. Today, I'll be discussing a case of alleged financial abuse, the story of Ken Shaver, a pastor who was arrested for theft from his own church.
Greater Vision Baptist Church is going to be the standard bearer of independent Baptist churches in Kentucky on how to run church finances. That's what we're going to do. I'm telling you that.
Ken Shaver is the 62-year-old pastor of Greater Vision Baptist Church in Utica, and he was arrested by Kentucky State Police investigators in his church building on Wednesday, March 22nd. He was charged with theft by unlawful taking over $10,000, but under $1 million, which is a Class C felony. The charge is punishable by between 5 and 10 years in prison. The arrest citation says the money was taken from the church's operating funds and says Shaver allegedly made purchases with the funds which were not approved by church officials. Trooper Corey King, public affairs officer for KSP's Henderson Post, said an investigation was launched after Greater Vision officials noticed discrepancies in the church's books going back to 2019. The church had its accounts independently audited, which found accounts were missing a large amount of money. I recently spoke to an insider who is formerly close to the ministry. According to them, the church had 3 main accounts: the general account, the building account, and the missions account. The previous pastor had reported that the combined accounts had $500,000, around $410,000 to $420,000 to be exact, when he resigned in April of 2019. Note that when this former pastor left, recurring offerings at that time were around $10,000 a week. This is based on the bulletin reports that were coming out at that time. Also note that around the time Pastor Ken Shaver became the new pastor in July of 2019, these financial reports stopped being included in the bulletin. After the former pastor left, there was a church vote around May or June of 2019 to pay off the church's $90,000 building debt. This means that when Ken Shaver became the new pastor in July of 2019, a month later, he was essentially taking over a church that was debt-free. When Shaver arrived, he convinced the church to buy him a house, an estimated $440,000 home, but only the down payment was paid out of the account funds, so there would still be a substantial amount of money left over. The insider I spoke with said that although Shaver had said the house would be in his name, but owned as an asset by the church, Shaver continually expected the church to furnish it with new appliances, furniture, repair it, pay taxes on it, etc. When Shaver was questioned about anything, he'd reportedly say, "If you can't trust me, why are you a member here?" In the first 6 months, no one really noticed anything quite different at the church. The only exception was that Shaver began hiring a significant amount of new staff. By December of his first year, there were 3 new full-time staff members, and another was added in January. Shaver refused to reveal the salaries to the congregation and kept it under wraps. Staff and congregation slowly began seeing some small lies or sketchy behavior from Shaver, like him hiring a new youth pastor under the nose of the old. By the end of the first year of Shaver being at the church, $100,000 from the combined accounts was completely unaccounted for. My insider says the financial statements started becoming increasingly vague. The miscellaneous section showed a very large amount of money had been spent. Shaver had sent Greater Cumberland Baptist Church, his son-in-law's church, $18,000, and after the money was sent, asked the church for permission. The building repair amount budget was maxed out, but there were no clear repairs. The list goes on and on. By the end of the first year and a half, the $400,000 in the combined accounts became $100,000. Even with all this money spent, the church continued shrinking. It went from about 300 people to 100 people, leading to mass layoffs of almost all the staff in 2022. But although the church claims to have not had enough money to pay staff, that same year, the church funds fully paid off Ken Shaver's personal home. By the time of Shaver's arrest, the accounts which once held almost $500,000 were reportedly nearly empty. As of Thursday, March 23rd, Shaver was being held in the Daviess County Detention Center on a $25,000 full cash bond. He was scheduled to make his first appearance today, March 24th, in Daviess County District Court. I will update this story when necessary. The case of Ken Shaver is one of many examples of pastors who have abused their power and taken advantage of their congregations. And it serves as a reminder of the importance of transparency and accountability in churches and religious organizations. I hope by discussing these cases, we can help prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. Thank you so much for listening to the Preach Voice podcast. I'll see you on the next episode.